Hey, this is Dave Hooke with Keller Williams of Central PA and the Dave Hooke team out of South Central Pennsylvania. On today's video blog, we're going to answer the question, if you're thinking about buying a foreclosure, what are 5 things to keep in mind? Stick around to find out. All right, on today's blog, we're going to answer the question, if you're thinking about buying a foreclosure, what are 5 things to keep in mind? The first is access to the property before it hits the market. This is a big one that I explain to a lot of people because a lot of people believe that there's a secret way to get access to a foreclosure before it hits the open market. And the truth is that the majority of foreclosures are not done by banks that are small and local. They're done by banks that have thousands of assets across the country. If you can imagine, these organizations are in the finance industry, not in the real estate industry. And so typically what those banks do is they sub the entire foreclosure process and the marketing of that property over to a management company. They pay that company to deal with the assets that they need to then resell. And the reality is that those management companies oversee that process, make sure the property is locked up, and make sure they hire a local real estate agent to value the property, get a value estimate, and then list the property on the multi-list. The reason that they do that is because you could imagine with thousands of assets across the country, most of these banks have never seen these properties, and to take calls from customers who have questions about the properties and deal with all that and go under contract with them, they wouldn't have the manpower to do that. So they sub out that operation and another entity handles it. It's a benefit to them because they're going to get a local expert to represent their best interest, to put it on the open market and get the highest and best price possible. So the reality is that many times it's hard to get access to these properties before they hit the active multi-list. So you're finding out about them at the same time that everybody else is. There is a possibility every once in a while it could be foreclosed on by a local bank. And in those cases, sometimes you can go to the bank and knock on their door and find out who's handling their REOs and sometimes get special access. But that's the exception, not the rule. Number 2, are you getting a good buy on a foreclosure? The reality is you might get a good buy on a foreclosure, but they're not as good a buy as most people think. Again, the reality is that most of the bank foreclosed properties are listed on the active and open market, so the demand on them and the visibility of them is the same as all other properties, and they're valued at the highest price possible because that's what the bank and their listing real estate agent needs to get, the highest price possible. So they're not giving these properties away, trying to maximize the value that they can get. Number 3, it's encouraged to do full property inspections with the utilities on. So if you're going to buy a foreclosure, make sure that you investigate the property with water in the water lines, not if it's been totally winterized and there is no water running. Make sure you can turn on the furnace. Sometimes that takes special access or even is costly to get the utilities turned on. And sometimes you have to even pay the owner, the bank, to get the utilities turned on. And that can take time, and it's not a real easy process. So make sure you factor that all in. Number 4, prepare for the worst if you buy it as is. If you have a contractor go through and look at estimated renovate or cosmetically update the property, make sure that you plan for things that may come up, because if you don't turn the utilities on or you don't turn the heating system on, you may find that you have cracked water lines, or you may have a furnace that needs replaced and things like that. So budget for the worst and then hope for the best if you're buying a foreclosure as is. And number 5, proper expectations regarding a closing date. A lot of times there's title issues with foreclosed properties that need worked out. I've had a number of foreclosures that we've been pursuing that have been backed up for months and haven't closed on time. So again, plan for the worst regarding timelines and hope for the best. This is a couple tips about buying foreclosed properties. If you have any questions about foreclosures or property flips, investment properties, or buying and selling a home, reach out to the information below and we'll follow up and take great care of you. Thanks so much for watching the blog, and we'll talk to you soon.